Hello, hello, hello. Is my mic working? Hmm. Okay. Crazy commentary. I have nothing useful to say. Yes. It's just a block out for something I'm going to use for a test shot, which is why the geometry on this is all gnarly. Pretty irresponsible stuff in here, but it's just to look good because I'll render it and kind of get lighting and stuff. Because this will be a close-up shot, so I want a lot of detail and everything. Well, I mean, this is all, I mean, it's NURBS based, but because they're solid bodies, all these intersections and curves and stuff are really nutty. Let's see, I just have it filled for now, and it's based around getting that guy to fit. And so I'll use the skull to scale the human head, or probably just a skull, doesn't really matter, but then I'll have the body sitting in the cockpit this way. These pieces, these are 3D. I mean, I can export this to STP and technically print it, but it would be a nightmare, and that's where it's irresponsible because I'm not using this, not using it as an engineering tool as much as I am just to quickly build out shapes. I mean, I could do this in like a polygonal modeling process, but I am not good enough to get this kind of shape language and poly modeling, so using Fusion is much faster for me. And like I said, I don't think this is going to go anywhere beyond just the visual development thing. Which I learned my lesson trying to 3D print that pistol I made in this. Yeah, it turned out terrible because I didn't know what I was doing. But originally, I was just tooling around with this to see, to make like a model around the skull, and I was just going to do one quick shot, but then I think this is going to maybe go into something else. Yeah, it's going to be, it was supposed to be like a fighter pilot helmet. And that's kind of the error of this too, is that I don't have that many sketches of this. I just spent like 20 minutes doodling around to get the shape language, and then I'm designing as I go, so like it's a mess, but it's still fun. But yeah, that was like the idea with the sensors and everything. Is like the shield's down, so the pilot is using other technology to um, fly the ship. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just making this up. I just want it to look cool and different. That's why I put this really terrible piece there, because originally I wanted to show that there was something organic underneath, like the person or the teeth of the skull, but I severely messed up the shape or the sculpt around the jawline. It's like really wide, and I did a test render of this earlier, and it definitely translates funny, and so that's why I decided to try it with oops, with something like this, because then I can make this into a transparent object and kind of like maybe do like a screen or something to show the mouth for expressions or something. And this too, like I can maybe change the nature of the blast shield, or maybe it moves up or something. Because I can always go back and alter this stuff, and maybe the shield has rails that can flip up, like a show his face or something. But yeah, at least having it in 3D now, I can sketch over this and get more iterations, and then go after the finished look I want. Death Stranding, yeah. Are you saying I should add a baby in here? Like hide a baby in here somewhere? Middle finger. I think that's actually in the trailer, right? Yeah, I'm not sure. There was a lot of explanation about that, and he just showed it in his throat or something. No, this is just for a personal project. I wanted to do work stuff on here, but I don't think that would be very nice. Yeah, I don't think the people I'm working with right now would appreciate me sharing this stuff or the other stuff. I'd like to. Probably get to a point where I will do some of the industrial design stuff and then some of the other concept design stuff I'm working on. Wow, that's awesome. Oh, it's totally useless. Fuck it. Oh god. Damn it. Oh well. Guess I will address this later. What? Do Warhammer stuff? Man, that's really hard. I dig Warhammer. It's I can't do that aesthetic. I think if I was a little more ambitious about getting it down, ZBrush probably would be a better route for doing something like this, but also like the Warhammer, where there's like a ton of organic shapes mixed in with like the mech look. But I also never really played Warhammer, so I feel like I'd kind of be a phony. Oh, that looks terrible. Good choice. No, I don't think it's cartoony. It's not my aesthetic. So even though I like it, I think I would struggle to do it justice, honestly. I think even if I tried to mimic what was already done, which that stuff is amazing as it is, and I don't know if I would really be contributing. Or it could just be that I'm being negative. It's not gonna work. It did work, and it's totally unnecessary. I'm gonna do it anyways. It's challenging if you oh, it's awesome. If you're not using like ZBrush or Mudbox or something, like a sculpting kind of application. I mean, it's possible for sure, and almost anything, but I don't know. Honestly, I only spent like 2 months in ZBrush, and it's a little different. So I was learning Fusion at the time and decided that Fusion was gonna have more to offer for me at the time, which I think it did. But I definitely want to go back and learn ZBrush. Yeah, that stuff's rad, Rex. They're just different programs, and they're all really good, and they're getting super easy to learn. I don't know, I've never used Mudbox, but I think that's before ZBrush. But their intentions were the same. But no, I think like Blender and Maya have those type of tools in the program already, but people, from what I can tell, still keep ZBrush as a separate thing because it's so good. I should probably just take a class in it or something, because it's it just seems to use just a totally different kind of language, and I spent so much time trying to learn polygonal modeling and this like NURB space modeling that ZBrush, it just seems like a foreign language. And I had been warned that learning it the other way around can be extra challenging because just because of the translation between the two. Oh, geez, it didn't even look at me. What's going on here? I keep getting inspiration for shapes. Like, where do I get the references, or how do I manage the references? Oh. Yeah, I mean, for the anatomy stuff, like there's tons of it. So I can use other use books or just photographs for certain things like muscles and bones and the Bridgman book. But for the purposes of this, see if I can pull this up. This is a just a collection of reference images. Like obviously we started on a specific IP as like an idea, and just pulled stuff that we felt kind of could live in the original IP, and then we had a very specific idea of what we were going to do with it. It might change, but I still think that there's value in the kind of shape language, at least with my own aesthetic. And the storyline doesn't have to change too much with what we wanted to do. But I mean, this is all the kind of like stuff that I tend to lean towards anyways, the type of geometry and spacing and everything. And it's sci-fi, so like as long as you can justify what stuff is doing fictitiously, I think you can make it make sense in reality a little bit, but I think that's pretty cool. There's some neat stuff in there. Oops. Like Robotech? Yeah. It's funny because we were talking about Macross with this also. So that's good. Oops. Oh, what the heck? Oh, that's gnarly. Is it real? Jeez. Oh, oops, probably shouldn't show that. Oh, Dark Knight. It's funny, I didn't even make that association until I realized it was. Oops. I don't know yet. I would like to. I mean, I'm in front of the computer so much every day that it probably would make sense. But yeah, it's kind of hard because at least right now, um, if I was going to do this more, I would probably need to plan out more of the personal work stuff because as of lately, doing that, I kind of just have pockets of time to work on it, and I need to be better about like planning my time out with that stuff better because most of it has just been doing client work stuff, which is still super fun. And I want more. So if I can get both of those things, then that would, yeah, encourage me to have more online presence. I'm not sure if it matters, but our bandwidth isn't that great here, so doing this kind of stuff is a little uh, I don't know. I just wonder if the quality suffers from doing it. Yeah, I'm actually streaming this through a site, Watch Me Work, which is why I'm doing this. It goes through a calendar, and this is my first day doing it, and I think I did it incorrectly, but I'm paired with other artists, so like 1 hour a week. We're all streaming together with different content. But I need to figure out this program better because I don't think I'm doing it right. But it's through YouTube Live, so it streams to there to watch me work, and then also just through my own YouTube. But yeah, I think I set this up incorrectly. So I should be able to view and chat with the other streamers, but I think I messed that up. Yeah, yep. Which I would definitely need to do if this is going to be a regular thing. Oh, cool. Yeah, I was wondering about that. We were testing it out yesterday, and some people said that it was going in and out of 420, and I don't know if that's my connection or not. What is that? Oh, that's why. Oh, it's a robo octopus. That's crazy. So terrible. I'll try to fix that. Yeesh. Yes, I guess the sensors would be in the jet, but I just wanted some interesting shapes and stuff. Maybe to imply that the helmet is useful outside of the cockpit as well, or maybe they interact with some of the tools that are based around his seating or something. But again, mostly it's just shape language. Like, I want to be able to have something kind of interesting at different angles, and to have a lot of surfaces to reflect when we have lighting. So I think generally it's going to be top down and then into view this way, and possibly from the side, but that's looking a little potato-ish, but it's just pretty rough, because I think I'll probably just do a test render to see how it looks later, and then do some overpainting. Oh, the little socket things. Yeah. The other one I did, let's see if I can pull this up without it going crazy. Was kind of the same idea, but my thought with this, since it's not really a helmet, it's just like a shield, was some of these were actually like comm communications, or maybe that's how this device was charged, or there were like little dials, but I wanted a reason to have the character to fiddle with it, which is why in some of the renders I'm not going to be able to find it now. Where'd it go? Oh, here we go. She's like tuning into space or something. I don't know. She's listening to a podcast. Yeah, which is obviously why I couldn't make up my mind. Some of them were like socket inserts or something, and other ones were maybe like actual mechanical dials. But yeah, these references are super useful. Like, I like to look at that kind of stuff a lot. I guess some of the issue too is like if you get too much detail in here, you don't see it. Like, especially here, I think this is maybe one of the only shots that I used that you can actually see the details. It might not be entirely true. Hold on. Like this kind of stuff, her hair was covering it, so you couldn't even see it. which was poor decision on my part. But here, I kind of learned my lesson and went out of my way to make sure that showed up, and then I actually had to go back and draw over and paint it again just to make sure the reflections were working, because my mistake with this was I captured everything in one shot and then did a bunch of render passes to mask out all the pieces, so when I started painting over it was going to be easier. But in hindsight I would have done just a character render with their own lighting and then the background and stuff, so I could at least look at the flat image and know kind of like my lights are up here and she has like this warm light that's casting up, and I actually ended up having to redo this one a couple times before fully committing, but yeah, that's really the only time you get a close shot of that. Oh, that was when I was learning Marvelous Designer to do the clothes. It was like the second or third one I did, but I threw it in because of the scale, which is something I'm still trying to figure out. When doing the block mesh, is like my scale always looks really wrong, and this hallway is actually pretty long, and I messed with the depth of field and was experimenting with different camera lenses, and it still just made it look really funny. So because there's just like there's more of this textured brick, and I put some signs and everything, and it still looked wrong. So the character is more useful, I guess. But even then, now that I'm looking at it, she looks a lot closer. But that was the only reason why I put that in there. Yeah. And in other renders, I had a lot more like ground lighting to show this hallway kind of thing. And there was like more pipes and stuff to cover it up, but because of uh, the aspect ratio, I needed to make sure that this wasn't just a dark hole. Yeah, and that's just because I um, probably didn't do the best job painting this area. Um, it's really, really muddy, and there's not enough, like the light offers a little bit, but I got heavy-handed in like painting in the rim lighting and stuff. But I had to get it done. I was spending too much time on this thing, and I don't think I had the experience or skills to get it any further, so I had to just make an honest stop on it. But there's definitely more to be done with this thing. Light scatter effect from the edges. Yes, you can. In the render suite I'm using, for whatever reason, it produces a lot of like caustic lighting, these little firefly bits, which didn't show up in this because I had to make some exceptions and then paint the light source by hand later, just because I wasn't going to be able to solve that issue in Octane. But you can definitely control it. I just not there yet technically. Because all the materials, like in reality and for the most part in 3D, like should behave like they do normally, given that you have the right pieces together. The last one, I think it was about a week and a half, but I started on that. These two, I started immediately after, I think that was the same week I left TAD, or I left the office. So yeah, this one I was kind of tooling around with for a while. But yeah, I think it's probably a week and a half or something, honestly. Not quite full time, but it was every day because I had to do stuff during the day for immediate contract stuff, and then, but there was definitely a time where it was like 3 days or something where I was only doing this. It was pretty awesome. Great, now I'm all worried about these sensor thingies. Maybe they don't make sense. Is it tough to juggle? Not really. Kind of just feels like any other job, though. Yeah, if it's different kinds of stuff, which is kind of the situation I'm in. I have like the graphic design stuff is definitely the hardest for me to jump back into, coming from doing product design and then jumping to more like illustrative stuff. But I think right now I don't have any graphic design stuff, so I can essentially just focus on the artwork, and then I still have this kind of big product design project that's ongoing. We're in a little bit of a holding pattern with that, so I haven't had to do much, but we're kind of outside of development now and getting into production, which when that goes into production, I'll probably do a little of that on stream to kind of help promote it too. Should just oh, that's a good one. What is that? Oh shit, that's a good idea. I'm gonna copy that. Oops. Yeah, I really dig that. I think what I'm going to do is take the facing of this and kind of do that end cap with some hardware to sort of imitate this jawline. Should I just do this with the sweep? Maybe a sweep would look cooler. Oh boy. Let me try this instead. Is this gonna work? I don't know if that. Oh, man, this is definitely where I paint myself into a corner because now I have all this ridiculous surfaces to deal with. It's gonna be so stupid. What am I doing? Okay. Let's see. Maybe I can get it to follow that thing out that way. Let's just try it. Oops. Let's see. Oh. Huh, so do they fly with nods? Oh, I see what you're saying. Like that's the projection of the nods on the face, or that's what it's implying. It's pretty cool. Are they past Gen 4 now? Let's see, turn that off. Yeah, what generation are they on? Yeah, that's super cool. I like the intersection with the mesh and the Velcro one wrap stuff is nice. Do you remember the Oakley? I don't even know what it was called. It was like a skull cap or something, but it had armor on it. I don't even know what it's called. We used to have them at the shop, and they were super ridiculous. The Predator hair was there. That was just for display, but there was this other thing that had like I don't think it was polycarbonate, but it was like plastic molds over the crown, and then there might have been some side plates. It was just for looks, but people always liked them, but they did nothing. Like I think someone actually wanted to like skateboard with it, and that would just be fucking death. And you'd look like a tool, but who am I to say? God, this is so stupid to be using this. Yeah, I have seen those. I didn't think that was real. Are people actually? I can't imagine you would be able to see that much out of these things. I say that, of course, working on this thing where you can't see anything at all. I can see it making sense in airsoft, like full coverage. You don't get like your teeth chipped. Jeez, I already forgot what I was going to do with this thing. Okay, I think I know what I'm going to do now. I'll try to optimize. Yeah, I could see the eyepiece being from like a legit ballistic lens company or something that would actually help the field of view or optimize the vision, like you were saying. I wonder if you can wear like a filtration with it as well. Jeez, what am I doing? Hmm. You think his buddies made fun of him for wearing it? I don't see anyone else. Okay, that thing's not working. Yeah, there's no way he got away with wearing that to work and didn't get lit up. Oh shit, there's a little piece poking through here. Fuck. I guess that's a good reason to get rid of something. Yeah, I don't get that. Why do airsofters use PEC lights? Unless do they play with? Are they playing with nods? Wouldn't that make playing airsoft crazy expensive? Oh, for the look. Yeah, but that's extra weight. I won't lie, the first time I took a rifle class, I was sweating just holding it up and low ready for 20 minutes. I suppose he was trying to make a point, which was definitely heard loud and clear. can't be out of shape if you want to do that stuff. That's kind of what I was hoping to do myself, but I think I just need to do a DI instead. Never use that either, so that. also a good reason. Oh, well, that's kind of cool. Yeah, it seems very useful. You can definitely game that. But that lesson is definitely cross-compatible, I feel like. And getting into and exiting positions is a huge part of that time-saving stuff. Who is this guy? I have not kept up on that industry at all. Alright, what was my whole point with this thing? Oh yeah, I was gonna add that like dial thing. Have you taken a class from him? This drill seems super legit. John has, of course. What we can do. All right, that was a hour and a half. I think I'm gonna cut it here. I might be back on later to finish this thing up, but when I figure out how to actually do this. All right.